Are we ready? I hope so, because I just pressed record. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome back. We're on episode 8.
Yep, episode 8, which is technically 18, season 2. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh.
Almost 20 episodes.
We got 2 more episodes to film before we take a little cutesy break.
Hiatus.
I'm not going to tell you what we're doing though until afterwards, so you have to stick around for season 3.
I'm going to edge you with that information.
Hey, what are we talking about, Court?
Well, I think we should talk about change. Making changes in your life and your lifestyle.
Life changes.
Life changes. Like deciding things within yourself and then making the scary decision to actually implement change in your life and then not actually sticking to it.
Yeah, not actually thinking about it.
Yeah, just wondering, looking out the window, daydreaming.
I do this really bad habit every night before I go to bed is like I'll lay there and I'm like, tomorrow I'm going to do this.
I sit on my notes app.
Goes around and I don't do it.
No, literally. Mine's my notes app. The night before, the next day it'll be like 7 a.m, wake up, 7:30, gym, 8 a.m, walk on the Esplanade, 8:30, Pilates.
Realistically, you wake up at 11 a.m.
I wake up at 11. I do go to the gym. Do I use my sauna? No. Whenever I think about using my sauna, it's before this, like after the sauna hours. Like you can only use it till 7 p.m.
Ooh.
I think we mean life change more intensely. Being productive. I find that I have periods of being really productive and good and on it. And then I have periods of like, I put everything off. I kind of feel like I have seasonal depression because when it gets into winter, it depends if I have things planned. Because like last winter, I was really busy. Like I did the 48-hour film challenge and I produced that. And like that kept me busy for like 3 months of pre and production and post-production. So I feel like I was on it then. But a lot of the time during the winter months is when I kind of go into like hermit mode. And I like don't do things as much and there's not as many things on. Or if I get sick, like when I had chicken pox last year, I think it was around May, that kind of put me off doing things for a while.
Well, yeah, because your whole field of work revolves around your appearance.
Yeah.
So when you have come down with an illness that directly affects your appearance, there's not much
I felt like a creature and I just wanted to live in. Yeah, funny. I did. I wanted to just live in a little cave.
You're the oldest person I know to get chickenpox.
My dad also got it at 21.
That's crazy.
So I was genetically, as a baby, but I never got chickenpox. So I never, the vaccine does give you a bit of it and you're meant to know how to fight it.
I think
but there's still a chance.
Like, I think you're supposed to get them like every 10 or 15 years or whatever. If you want to be incredibly protected from it.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd be at much risk considering we work at a place that has no children allowed and most of my jobs have. I think it was literally like probably someone
but you are around
walking around Surfers Paradise and I'm around parents and hospo and you know
kids. So
yeah, gross, disgusting.
Yeah, ew.
But that put me into like a slump. There are times where I can like pinpoint where I've not been doing as much and then like now for me is a point where I'm doing a lot and it doesn't make you like any less of a person or like more or less talented how much stuff you're doing, but it fucking feels like it. You feel like a fraud. If you're not on any projects and you're like, I'm an actor and you're not on any projects, you're like, am I? Even though you are, it's one of those things. Or like same with modeling. It's like, I'm a model, but I haven't had a job in ages. If you feel like that.
The field fluctuates. Like that's why like actors and stuff have jobs on the side.
Yeah.
For like those times when there's no work, you know, there's just like not enough work.
LA's on fire. It's a good time to have another job.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Anyone who's living a life that isn't true to them, whether you're a person who's in the creative field or someone who is a creative and has never been in the creative field, if you're living every day doing a job that you hate or around people that drain you and discourage you from pursuing your dreams and living a safe life and the secure life, but you're miserable and you're yearning for something more. And that falls into people who are creative or not necessarily creative, but they have an endeavor or a dream that they've never pursued because they're in a good situation and they have to compromise that in order to, or they have to wait a few more years until they have that management position and then they can take the time off to pursue what they want to pursue. And it's like or everything's just like one step away or feels too impossible. That's what we're talking about, is life change. And like at any age or any stage of your life, you'll have a moment, like a lot of people will have a moment where they're like, this is, is this it? Like,
is this it? That hit me at 21. And it's a really young age to wake up every day and be like, is this it? I come from a really, really tiny town where a lot of people my age were like starting to settle down. So like there was no real career option for anyone there because it was country bumpkin, nothing. We didn't have Starbucks or anything. And so the only thing that you could do was find a job that suited you, make sure that that was going to be something that you could live with forever, and then get married and have kids. And and everyone my age was starting to do it. And I remember ringing my nan one morning. It was the middle of winter. I was starting my car and I was fucking freezing cold. And if you know me, I hate the cold. So that also triggers my emotional side because I don't want to be outside. I was ringing my nan, just bawling my eyes out. And that was like fucking 7:00 in the morning. She's like, what is wrong with you? I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I was like, I hate this place. I don't want to live like this. Like, it's the same day every day. I was like, do I have to do this for the next 60 years? I'm confused. Like, I don't want to do this. And I was like, I want to leave. Like, I want to find something better. There has to be something. She's like, do it then. Just do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, no one's keeping you here. She's like, you don't have to stay here for us. Like, if you want to go somewhere, go somewhere. If you think that you will make it somewhere, go somewhere. Don't be stuck here with the rest of us. This was our choice. You don't have to have that choice. And that afternoon, I handed in my resignation at work and I handed in my 2 weeks notice for my unit. I had no idea how the fuck I was moving up here. I hadn't had a job lined up yet, nothing. I told people I did.
Yeah. That's part of this conversation.
So there's a massive reason why I didn't want to tell people that I was coming up here on a whim, because I didn't want them to tell me that it was a bad idea.
Yeah.
Because I had already given up my job and I had already given up my place. And I did that before I told anyone. Like, my nan was the first person, and like by the time I finished work that afternoon, I had done it all. And then I had told people, like, oh, I'm moving in 2 weeks. And they're like, what do you mean you're moving in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I quit my job today and I gave up my unit. And I was like, and they're like, how? I was like, I got a job up in Queensland. I didn't.
This is interesting because, like, you did all the right things and your nan is a pivotal part in that.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
If you had different parents, they would have said, keep the secure job, you've got these good things going, blah, 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 stick it through. And then one day you can do these things because you'll be financially secure.
But there is a twist to that, right? Because I did come up here. I had a really good job. They paid for my private health. When I quit there, and I called Nan to tell her that I'm quitting, I'm starting my own thing, at that stage of being unhappy again. Like, I know I've moved, but I still don't want to do this 9 to 5 thing.
Yeah, it's like you've almost fallen into it again. Yeah.
I don't think it was the location. I think it was what I was doing was the same shit every day. And now I've just moved location and I'm still doing the same shit every day. I called her. I was like, I want to do something different. I want to do something for myself. She's like, do you think that's a good idea? I'm so far away from home that she can't help if anything went wrong.
True.
So she's projecting her fear
onto you
of something going wrong for me onto me. And I think that made it a little bit hard for me to transition from that into what I wanted to do, because I had this little bit of doubt in my head from the closest people who I'm so used to telling me, just do it, do it. The second I ripped that security away, that's when she started doubting me. I want to run my own business, or I want to be in the creative field, or I want to be a musician. It's always like, are you sure?
It's also, they don't know.
They have no knowledge of how that industry works and how they make money from that industry as well.
Every other industry where it's like, you do the degree, you get the experience, you get the job, you work the job. Anything that's different to that,
they have no idea.
They have no idea, so they're just going to say, don't do it. Everything's possible. It's just people hold themselves back. And the biggest issue, which we touched on, is they ask other people for advice. And they ask people in their life who care about them and who have influence over them, should I do this thing that could potentially put me into a very bad financial situation, blah, 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 all implications. That's not how they present it. They go, should I quit my job and go do this? Should I move here and do this? Should I pursue this thing? And then someone will tell them, and plan to see the doubt.
If you can see that someone is really fucking miserable in their 9 to 5, and I'm a big believer of do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
Like, is it making you happy though? people that keep projecting their own fears of like, oh, if I did this, like I'd be so scared, like you're ripping away your financial security. They project that fear onto their loved ones. It's a catch-22 because even though you claim that you're saying these things because you care about them, listen to what they're saying.
Yeah.
Because they're telling you what they actually care about doing. Is you shitting on what they care about because you care about them?
It's very like people living out of fear and living their whole lives run by fear of not having or change and the two biggest factors I think about like implicating change in your life, and the two things that could have changed your life completely, is whether you waited to make a decision and whether you told people about your decision.
Yeah.
If you don't wait and you don't tell and you just do, then you're probably like, I find that if you do things with less planning and you just go into it spontaneously, you figure it out and then your best qualities will come through. If you wait and you stew and you plant doubt, then when you finally maybe do get into that audition room or do go to pitch your ideas, you're like, this is me, but like, if you don't like it, that's fine. Like, I've thought about this and like, I get it. But if you just have to go for something and you've risked it all and you've got nothing.
Everything I've done in my life has been spontaneous, like in the way of like this podcast came up like kind of out of nowhere for the both of us, and then it just happened. Moving here kind of just happened. A lot of the stuff that I did I kind of just fell into, but there's a difference between being spontaneous and then being spontaneous about your dreams, right? Because you can make spontaneous stupid decisions all the time, but for me it was like moving up here, yes, was a spontaneous, I'm doing it, but there were weeks, if not months, of that feeling of, is this it?
But it's internal, right?
Yeah. It wasn't spoken out loud.
Push it outside, and then you have to act on it.
Yeah, and then as soon as I spoke it out loud to someone who supports me, and I was like, I don't want this. Not only did it become real for myself, it became real for someone else, and they were like, well, then don't have this. Also, distancing myself from people was a little bit better for my soul.
Totally.
And that's when I started to become this fucking culling crusadist. Like, I was on a culling fucking spree, and I didn't care if you were blood related, if you were friends. I did nothing. If you were horrible to me, if you're horrible to my sister, if you had any negative emotion towards what I was doing, if you made fun of the lifestyle that I lived, anything, I mean, I still might have had my 2 cents back, like, oh, okay, but you're still living the life you were 10 years ago, and then blocked you.
Yeah, I've always been like that because I like to dip my toe in things. I never made a lot of friends when I worked at like the grocery store I worked at for 4 years because I didn't want to get stuck in that job. So I wouldn't go to any of the social things. Yeah. I dated 2 of the guys who worked there, but
you learned
that was different. I saw them outside of work, man. Like, we didn't really have the same shifts, and one of them was in a different department. But like, I made a conscious effort, and like, even with our job, like, I've only just started really, like, I only have a few people I really hang out with, and I don't really do like work things. If you're working there just for money, then treat that like that. Even if you meet people like we've met, have other work things, that's different. But I think surrounding yourself by people who motivate you, like even the friends I have who work 9 to 5s but preach to me that they love what I'm doing and they're supportive of me,
because I
wouldn't cull them because they're working a 9 to 5. Like, they're a supportive person in my life, and they're good for me. And like, my boyfriend's really good for me in that sense because he's all about get out, do the next thing. If you want to quit. Yeah. You hate it, don't do it anymore, go do this, go do that. And I'm like, oh, you're crazier than me. Like, the fuck? It releases you from things. Yes, you can get into a pattern of culling people, which I've definitely done, where I'm like, I want no one, and then I have no one, and loneliness does suck too. Like, you should be around people, but then it's hard to pick people in your life. And this is the thing, is people don't like doing hard things. Making change in your life is hard, and finding the right people in your life who will actually push you forward, or at least just give you words of encouragement, especially in a romantic partner, is difficult. And close female friends is difficult, because when it comes to friends, I find like female friends in particular, instead of discouraging you for your dreams, they will try and encourage you to do what they're doing, so they've got a safety net and a safety blanket and someone to be around them all the time, because they want to have that girlfriend, they want to have that maid of honor at their wedding, they want to have someone, because you lose your childhood friends growing up, because like
realistically,
you grow up and
you grow up.
People change and they do different things with their life. You're not going to be around the same people. So you grow up and then you're desperately trying to cling to people. And sometimes you get swayed and you start doing things that aren't true to yourself. And you've got to really listen and know who really has the best interest for you, which is hard because I'm a people pleaser personally. I care about people and I'll be like, oh, I don't want to cut them out because of ABC. And then I'm like, because it'll be awkward. And then like, how do I even do that? And then I'll still bump into them and blah, 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 blah. Especially romantic partners. Like the guy I was seeing before, my boyfriend, was encouraging me to get a 9 to 5 just so that, because he had one as a casual job, and then he was going to be part-time and he was going to be doing this, and he wanted me to work the same hours as him instead of working nights so that he could see me more often, instead of me pursuing my dreams and doing like what I wanted to do. He'd rather me be available for him, which I thought was crazy. I'm like, how do you have my best interest? But in the moment I was like, oh, that's so sweet of him. Now in retrospect I'm like, you selfish pig. You just wanted me to be like free so you could go to bed early.
Where we bring in, like, we don't tell anyone what we're really doing.
Don't tell people your plans. Unless you're involved in your plans.
Unless they are like realistically involved in the plans. I'm not big on telling people what I'm doing until like I'm literally about to do it.
But our podcast is such a funny example and such a good example because it's here, and it's, if you're watching this and you're having these thoughts, it's like tangible. We just did it. I've never had dreams of having a podcast. It's not like I was like sitting thinking, oh, I've always wanted one. Not even a fucking thought. You just suggested it to me and I was like,
okay, so for me, the podcast was because, you know, I'm a little bit creative and I have always wanted to just try something. I hate the thought of being like, no, I can't do that. I hate it. Yeah. So when the idea of a podcast popped up in my head, and it was because someone said to me, Maddie, you always have something funny to say. Why don't you just like film it?
Yeah.
Like, I guess a podcast would be funny. And then I was thinking about it. Like maybe I don't want to have a podcast for myself because like I hate listening to myself.
Good thing you don't edit.
So I knew that wasn't going to be a viable option and something that I would enjoy. But I was like, fuck yeah, a podcast sounds like something that I could try. I don't hate the idea of, I quite like podcasts. I want to give it a go. And then I spoke to you on the walk home from work and I was like, do you want to do a podcast with me? And how many weeks after we were filming? It was like 2 months, but it was like within 4 weeks.
I sent you an essay on the way home.
Night.
Yeah, that night.
I was reading it when I got home 30 minutes later. I was like, holy fuck.
Because I take shit seriously, and I'm the same as you. Like, the story of you moving up here is quite similar to me because I thought I was moving to Sydney, like dead set. Because like Sydney was where I was told everything was happening.
And it kind of is.
But also like the lifestyle up here and the weather and everything was.
I moved here for the weather.
Yeah. There's I was born in Brisbane, but I moved down when I was 8 to Newcastle. I lived a lot of my life there, and then I moved back up and I was like, oh my God, I feel like I can breathe the air. You know, the humidity's nice. Like I just like it. And then it's more spread out, and it like, because to move somewhere alone at 18, I was happy to move somewhere. And then I did my diploma, which was like 9 to 5, 5 days a week. And then I worked as well. Like I had no one and it was COVID, and I felt that detachment from the people. And I was like, okay, this is my time now. Anything I want to do, I'm just going to do it. And I have absolutely no one to stop me or to tell my ideas and have them convince me out of it. Because I'm untouchable. Like I'm in this faraway place. And yeah, it was spontaneous, and I didn't really have a plan. I was enrolled in a course, but like, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know where anything was. I didn't even know where the nearest grocery store was. And it's just like, you just have to do it and then it works out.
Yeah. You have to want it to work out. Like I'm reading a book at the moment, which bangs on a lot about how we stress about things, and stress is actually the common denominator of what stops you from doing what you need to be done. So it's like a vicious cycle of like, you're stressing about it, but because you're stressing about it is the reason why you're not effectively doing something. And then you stress because you didn't effectively do it, and then you're not effectively doing it because, so it's like a fucking cycle.
Yeah.
So like I'm at the meditation side of the book now, where it's talking about how to try and remove
Stress.
Like the factors, like the external environment that you just can't fucking change.
Well, there's the things that you can change. And there's one thing I just thought of was that if you're in a moment of stress and you're thinking about something and you're perpetuating it, and then you finally break out of that internal cycle and tell someone how you're feeling and they react positively and encourage you to make change in your life, that can break the stress, right?
Yeah.
And that can encourage you to make a decision. This is why it's so important to have good people in your life, because if you're in that cycle of stress and then you tell someone about it and they're like, don't do that because A, B, and C could happen and blah, blah, blah. And then you're still stressed about this. And then now you've got doubts on your way out of how you're feeling. And then it's just even worse. So
yeah,
it's
see,
like
the book that I've read tells you that people are also a factor of stress because they're
people cause me so much stress.
Yeah, so I guess it's just being okay, not worrying about what people think. I think I'm trying to do that right now as well. It's like, because there's a point for me reading this book, and the book is actually called The Habit of Breaking something your brain or something. I can't remember. How to go from living the life you are living to living the life that you do want, and how to bring about those changes without using toxic positivity and toxic manifestations, because like you can't just think things into manifestation.
So many people do that.
As much as we try to say, like, you know,
this is my goal.
I'm going to get money, and like one of the big things that the book talks about is like people that do vision boards, and I know you like to do them.
No, I actually haven't done one this year. I've been busy.
But tomorrow has a cute little one that she's just done.
Yeah.
And every time I look at it, I think of my book. But how they just don't work, because for manifestations to really happen, it talks about your energy aligning with the energy that you want.
Yeah.
And for that to really happen, your mind, your body, your soul, everything has to want it. Not just want it, but believe you already have it. So you need to be living in a space of gratitude and joy and a belief that you already have this lifestyle. So a lot of people, like, they keep manifesting money. They're like, yeah, I'm manifesting money, I'm manifesting this, but then they make jokes about being broke.
Oh god,
and then so your body and your mind isn't aligning. So you joke about being broke, but you're like, I'm manifesting finances and good riches, and you're like, but you keep saying you're broke. So you have to like live. So I went a full week, I went a full week of not worrying about my finances. I went an entire week of like, if I had to pay something like a bill, I didn't stress about how much money I had left. I didn't check my bank account every day, nothing.
Yeah.
Like I paid things as I needed to pay it. I didn't check how much I had left. I didn't, worry about how much I was going to get paid or worried how much I worked. I didn't count how much I was going to get paid this week, and then like how much I have to pay bills. I didn't budget, nothing. My entire next following week, I was making over $2,000.
Crazy.
Within a few days, I had these things booked up and I was making over $2,000 the following week.
People mean when they say to manifest and have positive affirmations, but there's a toxic culture with it where things get misconstrued and people are like, oh, I'm so delulu. And it's like, no, if you were really delulu, you would be not even saying negative things. Yeah. And it's hard. And it's also like, and especially in Australia, like there's this culture of being self-deprecating and being like self-aware and like not having tall poppy syndrome.
Yeah.
But like in order to be successful and use manifestations that way, like my last tarot reading was literally like, everything that you want is right there, babe. It pretty much just said you just need to work harder.
I really want to go for a reading.
I need to just bring my cards sometime. I can do one for you.
Can we record it?
Yeah, let's do it for an episode.
I haven't had a reading ever because I'm a little bit spiritual, so I'm scared of them.
They're not that like direct. Like a death card doesn't necessarily mean a human. It means career.
Worse.
It means a career.
Okay.
Or a relationship, habit,
but
or something. It's like something is gonna drop off. And you're gonna have to fucking deal with it. A lot of cards are like, if it's rebirth, or birth, it's not a fucking child. It's something new.
It's happening.
It's a metaphor. It's not to be taken literally or seriously, because that's how people do fucking dumb things. And that's how people are doing a tarot card every week going, should I buy the white bread or the multigrain? And they're doing a fucking reading about it. If you think it's stupid, you think it's stupid. But if you think it's stupid and then you do it and you're like, oh, actually, this says that I'm thinking that I need to cull someone out of my life. And I have been thinking that. Maybe this card's gonna motivate me to do that. That's what they're there for.
I'm really interested in getting one.
We can do it. I have 2 decks.
I've been so iffy. My friend went to a psychic. It was based mostly on her love life because she had been going through some shit. The psychic tells her that the one that she ends up with had a trade, and when she met him, and this lady doesn't know if she's already met him or not. Yeah. She's like, I don't know if you've already met him or not, but the day you meet your soulmate, he's wearing blue overalls and he has a trade. So, for the next week after that, she was trying to backtrack in her head if she's met any blue tradey dudes in overalls just to make sure she hasn't already met him. And then for months afterwards, purposely looking out for dudes in overalls.
Yeah, see, this is the wrong side of reading.
And that's why I refuse to pay someone. Yeah. She's like, you have to go, like, it only cost me $50.
Tarot cards are different because they're an objective piece of paper that lives in a box. They all say the same thing. It's not like you pick up a blank card and it reveals a message. Let's put this up now.
Yeah, let's do it. My phone is like dying.
Goodbye. Yeah, let's just say goodbye. Bye. Fuck off. We're gonna do our thumbnail montage.
Do I look like Smile?
Fuck.
Alright, bye.